Blood debts don't come cheap, and sometimes they cost you everything. The night Elena Cross sold herself to save her father, she didn't know she was signing away more than freedom. She became property, a bargaining chip. The unwilling wife of Victor Kane, a man whose empire was built on fear and whose heart had been buried under ice for so long no one believed it still beat. But empires have enemies, and some prisons have no walls. If you're ready for a story about survival, power, and the thin line between hate and something far more dangerous, stay with me until the end. Hit that like button and drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from. I want to see how far Elena's story travels. The rain came down like bullets. Elena Cross stood under the hospital's flickering emergency sign, her hair plastered to her skull, her father's blood still dried beneath her fingernails. She'd scrubbed them twice in the waiting room sink. It didn't matter. The stain went deeper than skin. Inside, machines beeped. Doctors murmured. Her father lay hooked to tubes, his chest rising and falling in rhythm with a ventilator, and every breath cost money Elena didn't have. $200,000. That's what the surgeon had said. Flat, clinical, like he was ordering coffee. Without the procedure, he has maybe a week. With it, maybe a few years. Your call. Your call. As if there was ever a choice. Elena had emptied her savings that afternoon, $1,700. It wasn't even enough to cover the ambulance ride. She'd begged the bank for a loan, been laughed out of 3 different offices, called everyone she knew. Her mother's sister hung up the moment Elena mentioned money. Her old college roommate said she'd pray for her. Prayers didn't pay hospital bills. So when the man in the black suit appeared outside the ICU at 11 p.m., Elena didn't run. She should have. But desperation makes you stupid, and she was drowning in it. Elena Cross? She looked up. He was tall, sharp-featured, with the kind of face that didn't smile even when it tried. Rain dripped from the brim of his umbrella. He held it like a weapon. Who's asking? Someone who can help. He reached into his jacket. Elena flinched, but all he pulled out was a business card. Plain, white, no name, just a phone number embossed in gold. My employer has heard about your situation, the man said. He's prepared to cover your father's medical expenses. All of them. Surgery, recovery, medication, whatever it takes. Elena stared at the card. Her hands were shaking. What's the catch? There's always a catch, Miss Cross. The man's expression didn't change. But you'll have to call the number to hear it. He turned to leave. Wait. He paused. Who is your employer? The man glanced back, rain sliding off his shoulder. Someone who doesn't make offers twice. Then he was gone, swallowed by the storm. Elena stood there, card clutched in her fist, water pooling around her shoes. Inside, a monitor beeped, her father's heartbeat. Steady. For now. She dialed the number. It rang once. Miss Cross? The voice on the other end was smooth, cold, and faintly amused. I was wondering how long it would take. Who are... My name is Victor Kane, and I'm going to save your father's life. Elena's throat tightened. What do you want? You. Silence stretched between them, broken only by the rain and the distant wail of sirens. I don't understand. You will, Victor said. A car will pick you up in 10 minutes. Bring nothing. Say nothing. If you're not outside when it arrives, the offer disappears. Wait, I can't just... 9 minutes now. The line went dead. Elena stared at her phone. Her reflection stared back from the black screen, hollow-eyed, desperate, trapped. She thought about her father, about the machines keeping him alive, about the bill that would keep growing whether she liked it or not. She thought about the word Victor had used. You, not your time, not your help. You. What the hell was she walking into? The black car arrived in 8 minutes. Moment. The driver didn't speak, didn't even look at her, just opened the door and waited. Elena hesitated on the curb, rain soaking through her jacket. Everything in her screamed to run. But where? Back to the hospital? Back to a father she couldn't save? She got in. The door closed with a soft, final click. Leather seats, tinted windows, the faint smell of expensive cologne. The city blurred past, neon signs smearing into rivers of color. Elena tried to memorize the route, but after the fourth turn, she gave up. She didn't know this part of town, didn't know much outside her cramped apartment, and the two jobs she juggled to keep the lights on. 20 minutes later, they pulled through iron gates that opened without a sound. The mansion rose out of the darkness like something from another world. Stone and glass, towers and balconies, gardens that probably cost more to maintain than Elena made in a year. The car stopped. The driver opened her door. "Inside," he said. First word he'd spoken. Elena climbed out. Her sneakers crunched on gravel. Somewhere in the distance, a fountain ran. The rain had stopped, but the air still tasted like ozone and fear. The front door opened before she reached it. A woman stood there, older, severe. Gray hair pulled into a bun so tight it looked painful. "Follow me." No greeting, no introduction. Elena followed. The inside of the mansion was worse than the outside. Too clean, too perfect. Marble floors polished to mirrors, chandeliers that threw light like knives, hallways that stretched into shadow. They stopped in front of a set of double doors. The woman knocked once, then pushed them open. "Miss Cross," she announced and stepped aside. Elena walked in. The office was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the gardens. A desk sat in the center, carved from dark wood, and behind it, Victor Kane. He didn't stand, didn't smile, just watched her with eyes the color of winter seas. "Sit." It wasn't a request. Elena sat. Victor leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled. He was younger than she'd expected. Mid-30s, maybe. Sharp suit, sharper features. The kind of face that belonged on magazine covers or wanted posters. She wasn't sure which. "Your father's surgery is scheduled for tomorrow morning," he said. "The best cardiac team in the state, private room, round-the-clock care." Elena's breath caught. "How did you—" "I make things happen, Miss Cross. It's what I do." He slid a folder across the desk. "That's the contract." She opened it. Legal jargon swam across the page. Words like binding agreement and exclusive arrangement and marriage. Victor nodded. "For 1 year. You'll live here. Follow the rules. Play the part when necessary." "What part?" "My wife." Elena's laugh came out sharp and broken. "You're insane." "I'm practical." Victor's expression didn't flicker. "I need a wife. You need money. It's simple." "Simple." Elena stood, the chair scraping back. "You want me to marry you, a complete stranger, and just, what, pretend? For a year?" "Yes." "Why?" "That's not your concern." "Like hell it's not." Her voice cracked. "You can't just buy people—" "I already did." Victor's tone went cold. "The moment you got in that car, the debt transferred. Your father's surgery, paid for. His medications, covered. The private rehab facility I'm sending him to, also mine." He stood, moving around the desk with the fluid grace of a predator. "You owe me, Elena. The only question is whether you pay with your presence or your father's life." The room tilted. "You're a monster." "I'm a businessman." He stopped a foot away, close enough that she could see the flecks of gray in his eyes. "And you're out of options." Elena wanted to hit him, wanted to scream, wanted to run. But he was right. She had nothing. No money, no plan, no way to save her father except this. "What are the rules?" Her voice came out flat, dead. Victor almost smiled. "Smart girl." He walked back to his desk, pulled out another sheet of paper. "Rule 1, you live here, no exceptions. Rule 2, you don't leave without permission. Rule 3, you don't speak to the press, the police, or anyone about our arrangement. Rule 4, in public, you're the devoted wife. In private, you stay out of my way." He looked up. "Break any of them, and the deal's off." "And my father?" "Will be removed from care. Immediately." Elena's hands balled into fists. "You're sick." "I'm thorough." Victor held out a pen. "Sign or leave. Choose now." She stared at the contract, at the pen, at the man who held her entire world hostage with a smile that never reached his eyes. She thought about her father, About the years he'd worked himself to the bone to raise her alone after her mother left. About the way he used to read her bedtime stories in terrible accents just to make her laugh. About the way he looked in that hospital bed. Small, fragile, dying. Elena took the pen. She signed. Victor collected the contract without a word, slid it into a drawer, and locked it. "Mrs. Kane," he said, and the name felt like a brand. "Welcome home." The room they gave her was a cage dressed in silk. King-sized bed, private bathroom, a closet full of clothes she hadn't chosen, all in her size. A window that overlooked the gardens but didn't open. Elena tried the door, locked from the outside. She pressed her forehead against the wood, breathing slow, trying not to fall apart. This was temporary. 1 year. She could survive 1 year. She'd survived worse, hadn't she? Sleep didn't come. She lay in the too-soft bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the house settle around her. Footsteps in distant hallways, doors closing. The hum of something she couldn't name. At dawn, someone knocked. The same gray-haired woman from before entered without waiting for an answer, carrying a tray. "Breakfast, eat." Elena sat up. "What's your name?" The woman set the tray down. "Mrs. Hale, I manage the household." "Am I a prisoner here?" Mrs. Hale's expression didn't change. "You're Mr. Kane's wife. There's a difference." "Is there?" "The door locks for your protection, Mrs. Kane. This world, Mr. Kane's world, it's dangerous. You'll understand soon enough." She left before Elena could respond. The breakfast was elaborate, fresh fruit, pastries, coffee that probably cost more per cup than Elena used to spend on groceries. She ate because she had to, because spite required energy. When she finished, she tried the door again, still locked. Hours passed. Elena explored the room, tested the window, checked the bathroom for anything she could use. Nothing. She was trapped in luxury, and it felt worse than any prison she'd imagined. At noon, the lock clicked. Victor stood in the doorway, suit immaculate, expression unreadable. "Come." Elena didn't move. "Where?" "Does it matter?" "Yes." He sighed, the sound faintly irritated. "I'm giving you a tour. You'll need to know the layout. So I don't embarrass you? So you don't get lost and wander into places you shouldn't." He turned and walked away. Elena followed because what choice did she have? The mansion was a labyrinth, drawing rooms and dining halls, libraries with shelves that reached the ceiling, a gym, a pool, rooms with locked doors that Victor passed without comment. "You're allowed in the common areas," he said. "Kitchen, library, gardens, supervised. The East Wing is off limits." "Why?" "Because I said so." They stopped in front of a set of glass doors. Beyond them, the garden stretched green and perfect under a pale sky. "You'll have a guard when you go outside," Victor continued. "His name is Marcus. You listen to him." "I'm not a child." "Then don't act like one." Victor looked at her, really looked, for the first time since she'd arrived. "This isn't a game, Elena. People in my world don't forgive mistakes." "What world is that?" His smile was ice. "One you should pray you never fully understand." He left her there, staring at the gardens, the guard, Marcus, tall and silent, already appearing at her shoulder. Days bled into each other. Elena woke, ate, walked the gardens under Marcus's watchful eye, read books from the library that she couldn't focus on, returned to her room. Victor was a ghost. She saw him at dinner sometimes, sitting at the far end of a table meant for 20. He didn't speak, didn't acknowledge her except with the barest nod. It was like living with a statue. A week passed, then 2. Elena started to forget what freedom felt like, but she clung to the one thing Victor had allowed, calls to the hospital. Her father was recovering. The surgery had gone well. He was asking for her. She lied, told him she was fine, told him she'd visit soon. He believed her because he had to. On the 17th day, Victor summoned her to his office. She went, dread curling in her stomach. He was on the phone when she entered, speaking in clipped tones. "Handle it. I don't care how." He hung up, gestured to the chair. Elena sat. "There's an event tomorrow night," Victor said. "A charity gala. You'll attend as my wife." "No." His gaze sharpened. "Excuse me?" "I said no. That wasn't part of the deal." The deal was that you play the part when necessary. This is necessary. Why? Victor's jaw tightened. Because people are starting to ask questions. Because my competitors think I'm weak. Because a man in my position doesn't stay unmarried without raising suspicion. He leaned forward. You will smile. You will stand beside me. You will convince everyone in that room that you're exactly where you want to be. And if I don't? Then your father's insurance lapses. Tomorrow. Elena's nails bit into her palms. You're a bastard. I'm aware. Victor stood. Mrs. Hale will help you prepare. The car leaves at 7. He walked past her, paused at the door. Wear the blue dress. It'll photograph well. The gala was a nightmare wrapped in champagne and pearls. Elena stood beside Victor in a ballroom that glittered like the inside of a jewelry box. Chandeliers, marble, women in gowns that cost more than cars. And everyone stared. Victor's hand rested on the small of her back, possessive and cold. Smile, he murmured. She did. It felt like swallowing glass. They moved through the crowd. Victor introduced her, my wife, Elena, and people shook her hand with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. She saw the calculations, the curiosity, the barely hidden disdain. Where did he find her? What's her angle? How long will she last? Elena wanted to scream. Instead, she sipped champagne and nodded and played the part. Until she saw him. A man across the room, tall, dark-haired, watching her with an intensity that made her skin crawl. He raised his glass, smiled. Elena looked away. Who is that? She whispered. Victor followed her gaze. His expression went flat. No one you need to worry about. But his hand tightened on her back. The man started toward them. Victor steered her away, cutting through the crowd with practiced ease. We're leaving. What? Why? Now! They were in the car before Elena could process what had happened. Victor sat across from her, silent, staring out the window. Who was that man? I told you. No one. You're lying. Victor's gaze snapped to hers, and for the first time she saw something in his eyes besides ice. Fear. It was gone in a heartbeat, buried under control. Stay away from him, Victor said quietly. If you see him again, you walk in the opposite direction. You don't speak to him. You don't acknowledge him. Understood? You're scaring me. Good. He looked away. You should be scared. Ban. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. She stood at her window, staring at the gardens bathed in moonlight, trying to make sense of the man she'd married. Victor Kane was a mystery wrapped in threats and three-piece suits, but tonight she'd seen a crack. Whatever he was afraid of, it was real, and it was coming for him, for them. A sound broke the silence. Footsteps. In the hallway. Too soft. Too careful. Elena froze. The footsteps stopped outside her door. She held her breath. The lock clicked. The door opened. And the man from the gala stepped inside. He smiled. Hello, Elena. Let's have a chat. Elena's scream died in her throat. The man from the gala closed the door behind him with barely a sound, his smile never wavering. Up close, the resemblance was impossible to miss. Same sharp jaw, same cold eyes. But where Victor's face was all hard edges and control, this man's features held something looser, wilder. Don't scream, he said, raising his hands in mock surrender. I'm not here to hurt you. Elena grabbed the lamp from the nightstand, ripping the cord from the wall. Get out. Feisty. I like that. He leaned against the door, arms crossed. Victor always did have interesting taste. I'm calling security. With what phone? He tilted his head. Victor doesn't let you have one, does he? Can't have his pretty little prisoner calling for help. Elena's grip on the lamp tightened. Her heart hammered against her ribs. Who are you? Ethan Kane. He said it like she should know, like the name meant something. Victor's brother. The lamp felt heavier in her hands. He never mentioned you. I'm sure he didn't. Ethan pushed off the door, taking a slow step forward. Elena raised the lamp higher. He stopped, hands up again. Easy, I told you, I'm not the enemy here. Then what are you? Concerned family. His smile twisted. See, I heard my dear brother got himself a wife, sudden, quiet. No announcement. No wedding. Just showed up at a gala with a girl who looks like she'd rather be anywhere else. His eyes scanned her face. So I got curious. You broke into my room because you were curious? Victor's security isn't what it used to be. Ethan shrugged. But that's not the point. The point is, you're in danger, Elena, and you don't even know it. She laughed, sharp and bitter. You think I don't know that? I'm locked in a mansion, owned by a man who threatens my father's life every time I step out of line. I know exactly where I am. No. Ethan's expression shifted, something almost like pity crossing his features. You really don't. Before Elena could respond, footsteps pounded down the hallway. The door flew open. Victor stood there, and the rage on his face made Elena take a step back. She'd never seen him lose control, never seen anything but ice. This wasn't ice. This was fire. Get away from her. His voice was deadly quiet. Ethan turned, casual as anything. Hello, brother. We were just getting acquainted. I said get away from her. Or what? Ethan spread his arms. You'll kill me? In front of your wife? That'd be quite the introduction to the family business, wouldn't it? Victor crossed the room in 3 strides, grabbed Ethan by the collar, and slammed him against the wall hard enough to rattle the picture frames. You don't come here. You don't talk to her. You don't breathe near her. Each word came out like a bullet. Are we clear? Ethan just smiled, even with Victor's fist twisted in his shirt. Crystal. Marcus appeared in the doorway, gun drawn. Take him out, Victor said, not looking away from his brother. If he comes back, shoot him. You won't, Ethan said. We both know you won't. Try me. Marcus grabbed Ethan's arm, yanked him away from Victor. Ethan went willingly, but as Marcus dragged him past Elena, he leaned close enough to whisper, Ask him about the East Wing. Then he was gone. Silence filled the room like smoke. Victor stood with his back to her, shoulders tense, breathing hard. Elena set the lamp down with shaking hands. What just happened? Nothing. That wasn't nothing. Her voice cracked. He said I was in danger. He said, he's a liar. Victor turned, and the mask was back in place. Perfect control. Ethan is a manipulative bastard who gets off on chaos. Don't listen to anything he says. Then tell me the truth. The truth? Victor's laugh was hollow. The truth is you signed a contract. You live here. You follow the rules. That's all you need to know. He's your brother. He's a mistake I've been paying for since we were kids. Victor moved to the door, paused. The locks on your room will be upgraded. Don't open the door for anyone. Not the staff, not Marcus, not me. Understood? Victor, understood. Elena's jaw clenched. Yes. He left without another word. She stood in the middle of the room, her father's lamp still clutched in one hand, and tried to make sense of what had just happened. Brothers, danger, lies, and the East Wing. What the hell was in the East Wing? The night crawled by. Elena didn't sleep. She sat on the bed, watching the door, waiting for it to open again. It didn't. But around 4 in the morning, she heard voices outside. Low, urgent. She pressed her ear to the door. Can't keep her in the dark forever. That was Marcus. Watch me. Victor. She's going to find out. And when she does, then I'll deal with it. Until then, double the guards. I want eyes on every entrance. If Ethan so much as looks at this property, I want to know. Footsteps faded. Elena pulled back, heart racing. What was she supposed to find out? Dawn broke gray and cold. Mrs. Hale brought breakfast without meeting Elena's eyes. The door locks had been changed. Elena heard the workers in the hallway at 6 a.m., drilling and hammering. She was a prisoner before. Now she was in solitary. 3 days passed in silence. Victor didn't come to dinner, didn't summon her to his office. It was like she'd ceased to exist. On the 4th day, Elena made a decision. She was done waiting. The mansion had routines. She'd learned them during her endless captive hours. Mrs. Hale checked the East Wing every afternoon at 2. Marcus changed shifts at 3. There was a 15-minute window where the hallway near the locked doors was empty. Elena waited until 2:10. Then she slipped out. Her room door was locked from the outside, but the workers had left their tools in the hallway. It took her 3 tries and a bent screwdriver, but the lock finally gave. She moved fast. Down the hallway, past the library, left at the portrait of some scowling ancestor. The east wing doors loomed ahead, locked, of course, but the workers had been careless. The panel beside the door was still open, wires exposed from where they'd upgraded the security system. Elena had never hotwired anything in her life. She tried anyway. Sparks flew. The lock beeped. The door clicked open. She was inside before she could talk herself out of it. The east wing was different, darker. The air tasted stale, like nobody had opened a window in years. Dust coated the furniture. Sheets covered shapes Elena couldn't identify in the dim light. She moved deeper. Doors lined the hallway. Most were locked, but one stood ajar. Elena pushed it open. The room beyond was an office, but not like Victor's. This one was chaos. Papers everywhere, photographs pinned to boards, red string connecting faces and dates and locations like some conspiracy theorist's fever dream. Elena stepped closer. The photos were surveillance shots. People getting into cars, entering buildings, meeting in dark alleys. And in the center of it all, Victor, younger, maybe 25, standing beside a man who looked like an older version of him and Ethan combined, their father probably. Beneath the photo, someone had written in angry red marker, "Murderer." Elena's blood went cold. "You shouldn't be here," she spun. Victor stood in the doorway, and the look on his face was something beyond anger, beyond rage. It was devastation. "I can explain." "Can you?" He stepped into the room. "Can you explain why you broke into a locked wing? Why you ignored every rule I gave you? Why you—" His voice broke. He looked away, jaw working. Elena's hands shook. "Ethan said, Ethan is trying to destroy me." Victor's voice dropped to something raw. "And you just handed him exactly what he needs." "I don't understand." "Of course you don't." He moved to the board, ripped down the photo. "You don't understand anything about this world, about what I've done to stay alive in it." "Then tell me, why?" Victor turned on her. "So you can look at me the way you're looking at me right now, like I'm a monster? I already know what I am, Elena. I don't need your judgment." "I'm not judging you." "You are. You have been since the moment you walked into this house." He crumpled the photo in his fist. "I saved your father. I gave you everything you needed. And this is how you repay me? You bought me!" The words exploded out of her. "You locked me up like property, like I'm something you own." "You are something I own." Victor's eyes were ice again, frozen over whatever she'd glimpsed beneath. "Read the contract, Mrs. Kane. You're mine for a year. And if you pull something like this again, your father goes back to that hospital. No insurance, no help, nothing." Elena's vision blurred. "I hate you." "Good." Victor moved to the door. "Mrs. Hale will escort you back to your room. You're confined there until I decide otherwise." "Victor, we're done talking." He left. Elena stood in the ruins of the room, surrounded by evidence of crimes she didn't understand, and finally let herself cry. Mrs. Hale appeared minutes later, silent, stern. She took Elena's arm and guided her back through the mansion like a prisoner being led to a cell. The room door locked behind her with a sound like a coffin closing. Hours passed. Elena sat on the floor, back against the bed, staring at nothing. She thought she understood the situation, thought she knew what she was dealing with. She'd been wrong. This wasn't just about money or marriage contracts. This was about something darker, deeper, and she was trapped in the middle of it. Night fell. Elena didn't move. Around midnight, something slid under her door. A folded piece of paper. She crawled over, picked it up with numb fingers. The handwriting was sharp, angry. "You want the truth? Meet me in the garden at 2 a.m. Come alone. Tell no one. Ethan." Elena's first instinct was to throw it away, to ignore it. But the questions burned in her mind. The photo, the word murderer, the fear in Victor's eyes when his brother's name came up. What was she missing? At 1:50, Elena picked the lock on her door again. This time it was easier. The house was silent, dark. She moved through it like a ghost, barefoot, holding her breath at every creak. The garden doors were unlocked. Marcus was gone. Shift change, probably. She slipped outside. The air was cold, damp. Fog rolled across the manicured lawn, turning everything ghostly. Ethan stepped out from behind a hedge. "You came." "This is a mistake," Elena whispered. "Probably." He gestured to a bench half hidden by roses. "Sit. We don't have much time." She sat. He stayed standing, hands in his pockets, watching the house like he expected it to attack. "Victor told you I'm a liar," Ethan said. "He's not wrong, but neither is he." "What does that mean?" "It means we're both terrible people, Elena. We just handle it differently." He pulled out a cigarette, lit it with shaking hands. "You asked who he is, what he does. Want the real answer?" "Yes." "He runs a syndicate, weapons, information, occasionally people, though he pretends that part doesn't happen anymore." Ethan took a drag. "Our father built it. Victor inherited it, and he's very, very good at it." Elena's stomach turned. "You're lying." "Am I?" He pulled out his phone, swiped through photos, held it out. Elena looked. Shipping manifests, bank transfers. Photos of Victor shaking hands with men who looked like they belonged in mugshots. "He killed our father," Ethan said quietly. 6 years ago. Shot him in the head during a business meeting gone wrong, claimed self-defense. Nobody questioned it because nobody questions Victor? The world tilted. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're a pawn in a game you don't understand." Ethan crushed the cigarette under his heel. "Victor didn't marry you because he needed a wife. He married you because his enemies were circling. Because showing weakness gets you killed in this world. And an unmarried man with no family? That's weakness." "So I'm what?" "A shield. Worse, you're bait." Ethan's expression was almost sympathetic. Victor's got enemies. Real ones. People who'd love to see him bleed. And the easiest way to hurt a man like him? Through the people he cares about. Exactly. Except Victor doesn't care about you. But his enemies don't know that. Ethan leaned closer. "They'll come for you, Elena. And when they do, Victor won't save you. He'll use you. Just like he's been using you since the moment you signed that contract." Elena's hands were ice. "What do you want from me?" "Information. Access." Ethan straightened. "Help me bring him down, and I'll get you out of this. You and your father, new identities, new lives, freedom. In exchange for betraying him. In exchange for surviving." Ethan's eyes were hard. "You think you're safe here? You're not. The clock's ticking, Elena. And when his enemies make their move, you'll wish you'd taken my offer." Before Elena could respond, lights flooded the garden. "Step away from her." Victor stood on the terrace, flanked by Marcus and 3 other armed men. Ethan didn't move. "Dramatic as always, brother. You have 10 seconds to leave." Victor's voice could have cut glass. "After that, Marcus starts shooting. You won't risk hitting your precious wife. Try me." Marcus raised his gun. Ethan looked at Elena one last time. "Think about it. You know where to find me." Then he vaulted over the garden wall and disappeared into the fog. Victor descended the terrace steps, fury radiating off him in waves. "Inside! Now!" Elena stood. Her legs barely held her. "Victor, Not here." He grabbed her arm. Not rough, but not gentle either, and marched her back into the house. Marcus and the guards followed. They didn't stop until they reached Victor's office. He released her, slammed the door. "What the hell were you thinking?" He said. "I don't care what he said." Victor's control shattered. He swept everything off his desk, papers, laptop, phone, sending it all crashing to the floor. "He's poison, Elena. Everything he touches dies. He said you killed your father." Silence dropped like a guillotine. Victor went still, completely, utterly still. "He told you that. Is it true? Would you believe me if I said no?" "I don't know." Elena's voice broke. "I don't know what to believe anymore. You lock me up. You threaten my father. You won't tell me anything. And then your brother shows up saying you're a criminal and I'm bait, and you are bait." Victor's voice was quiet. Dead. Elena's breath stopped. "I didn't lie about that," Victor continued. "The marriage, it served a purpose. Stability, protection. A message to my competitors that I wasn't vulnerable. So it's true." Parts of it. He moved to the window, stared out at the dark gardens. I did kill my father, but it wasn't murder. He was going to kill me first. The business, he was losing control of it, paranoid, violent. He saw threats everywhere, including in his own sons. Victor's reflection was ghostly in the glass. Ethan ran. I stayed, and when my father put a gun to my head, I took it from him and pulled the trigger. Elena sank into a chair. Why didn't you tell me? Because it doesn't matter. Victor turned. You're here because of a contract, not because I owe you my life story. It matters to me. Why? His laugh was bitter. We're not friends, Elena. We're not lovers. You're an obligation. I'm your warden. Let's not pretend this is anything else. The words should have hurt. They did. But underneath the hurt was something else. Something that looked like the truth in Victor's eyes when he thought she wasn't watching. What does Ethan want? She asked. The business? Control? Revenge? Pick one. Victor rubbed his face, suddenly looking exhausted. He thinks I stole his birthright. Never mind that he abandoned it. Never mind that he wasn't strong enough to survive in this world. And me? What am I to him? A weapon. Victor's eyes met hers. He'll use you to get to me. Feed you half-truths and lies until you're so turned around you don't know which way is up. Then he'll ask you to do something. Something small, harmless. And before you know it, you're in so deep you can't get out. How do I know you're not doing the same thing? You don't. Victor crossed to her, crouched down so they were eye level. But here's the difference, Elena. I told you what you are from the beginning. Property, a solution. Ethan's selling you freedom. And there's no such thing as freedom in this world. Only different kinds of cages. She searched his face, looked for the lie, found only tired truth. I want to see my father. Victor blinked. What? Tomorrow? I want to visit him, see that he's really okay. Elena's voice steadied. If you want me to stay here, to play this part, I need to know he's safe, that this is worth it. Victor stood, considered. 1 hour. Marcus goes with you. You don't leave his sight. Fine. And Elena? He paused at the door. If you run, if you try to disappear, I will find you, and the deal's off. All of it. I won't run. He studied her for a long moment, then nodded, and left her alone in the office, surrounded by the wreckage of his fury and her crumbling certainty about who the real monster was. Morning came too slow and too fast at once. Elena barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Ethan's smile, Victor's rage, that word scrawled in red marker, murderer. At 9, Mrs. Hale brought clothes, professional, conservative, the kind of outfit someone wore to visit family in a care facility. Elena dressed in silence. Marcus was waiting in the foyer. He didn't speak, just gestured to the car. They drove for 40 minutes. The city changed around them, from Victor's isolated fortress to suburbs, then to a medical campus that sprawled across manicured grounds. The care facility was nice, too nice. Private rooms, quiet hallways, nurses who smiled like they meant it. Marcus led her to room 207, stopped outside. You have an hour, he said. I'll be right here. Elena pushed open the door. Her father sat by the window, reading. He looked better, color in his face, weight coming back, alive. Elena. He stood, wrapped her in a hug that felt like home. Sweetheart, I wasn't expecting you. I should have come sooner. Her voice muffled against his shoulder. I'm sorry. Don't be. The nurses said you've been calling every day. He pulled back, held her at arm's length. Look at you. You look different. Different how? Tired. Concern creased his forehead. Are you okay? The man who's been covering my bills, is everything all right? Elena forced a smile. Everything's fine. I've been working a lot. Honey, you work too much. He guided her to a chair. Sit. Tell me what's going on. She sat and realized she couldn't tell him anything. Not the truth, not the contract, not the gilded cage or the brothers or the danger. Because if she did, he'd tell her to leave. And if she left, he'd die. So she lied. Told him about a new job, a generous boss. Long hours, but good pay. Her father listened, nodding, asking questions she deflected. The hour burned away too fast. When Marcus knocked, Elena wanted to scream. "I have to go," she said. "Already?" Her father squeezed her hand. "Promise you'll visit again soon." "I promise." She kissed his forehead, walked to the door. "Elena?" She turned. Her father was watching her with eyes that saw too much. "You'd tell me if something was wrong, wouldn't you?" The lie stuck in her throat. "Of course," she managed. His smile was sad. "Okay, sweetheart. I love you." "Love you too, Dad." The door closed behind her. Marcus drove her back in silence. Elena stared out the window, watching the city blur past, and felt the cage close tighter around her chest. She'd made her choice, signed the contract, sold herself. And seeing her father alive, healthy, reminded her why. But Ethan's words echoed in her head. Bait, weapon. Was this survival, or just a slower way to die? The mansion appeared through the trees. Marcus parked, opened her door. "Mrs. Kane?" She looked up. "For what it's worth," he said quietly, "the boss doesn't usually let people visit family. He made an exception for you. Should I be grateful?" "No, just aware." Marcus's expression was unreadable. He's not a good man, but he keeps his word. If he says your father's safe, he's safe. And if I break mine? Marcus didn't answer. He didn't have to. Elena walked into the house, head high, and tried not to think about how much she was starting to understand Victor Kane. The monster who kept his promises. The killer who saved her father. The man who locked her in a cage and called it protection. She didn't know if that made him better or worse, but she was beginning to suspect it didn't matter. In this world, Victor's world, good and evil were just words. Survival was the only thing that counted, and Elena Cross was learning to survive. Elena spent the next week trying to become invisible. She ate when Mrs. Hale brought food, walked the gardens when Marcus allowed it, read books she didn't remember 5 minutes after closing them. At night, she lay awake listening to the house breathe around her, wondering when the other shoe would drop. It dropped on a Tuesday. She was in the library, staring at the same page she'd been staring at for 20 minutes, when Victor appeared in the doorway. "Come with me." No greeting, no explanation. Elena set down the book. "Where? Does it matter?" "It might." Something flickered across his face. Surprise, maybe? Or annoyance? "There's something I want to show you." He turned and walked away, clearly expecting her to follow. She did, because the alternative was sitting alone with her thoughts, and that was worse. They went down. Stairs Elena hadn't known existed, hidden behind a door she'd assumed was a closet. The air grew colder with each step. Concrete replaced carpet. The lights were harsh fluorescents that buzzed like angry insects. "Where are we going?" "Somewhere safe." "Safe from what?" Victor didn't answer. The stairs ended at a steel door. Victor pressed his palm to a scanner. The lock disengaged with a heavy clunk. Beyond was a room that looked like it belonged in a completely different building. Monitors lined one wall, showing security feeds from every angle of the mansion and grounds. Weapons hung on another wall. Guns, knives, things Elena didn't have names for. A table in the center held maps marked with locations and dates. "This is my operations center," Victor said. "The only room in this house where I'm certain no one's listening." Elena's skin prickled. Who would be listening? People who want what I have. People who think I'm weak. He moved to the monitors, pulled up a feed. People like them. The screen showed the mansion's front gate. A black van was parked across the street, windows tinted. "How long have they been there?" Elena asked. 3 days. They change shifts every 12 hours. 2 men, maybe 3. "What do they want?" "You." Victor looked at her. "Or more specifically, leverage. My enemies have figured out that I acquired a wife. Now they're deciding how best to use that information." Elena's throat tightened. So Ethan was telling the truth. Ethan tells the truth when it serves him. Doesn't make him any less dangerous, Faye. Victor switched feeds, showing different angles of the property. But he's not wrong about this. You're a target now, whether I like it or not. Then let me go. The words came out before she could stop them. Give me and my father new identities like Ethan offered. I'll disappear. Problem solved. No. Why not? Because running makes you look guilty. And guilt in this world is blood in the water. Victor's jaw tightened. The moment you disappear, every syndicate from here to the coast will assume I'm vulnerable. They'll move on my territory, my people, everything I've built. So I'm still bait. You're still protected. He pulled up another screen. These are my guards. 32 men, all armed, all loyal. Marcus coordinates them. No one gets in or out of this property without me knowing. 32 guards, and they still got Ethan inside. Victor's expression darkened. Ethan knows this house. Grew up here. He knows passages I had sealed years ago and probably found new ones I missed. He closed the feed. But outside threats, they don't have that advantage? Elena crossed her arms. So what? I just stay locked up forever? Wait for someone to make a move? No, you learn to protect yourself. He moved to the weapons wall, selected a handgun, checked the chamber, set it on the table. I don't know how to shoot. You will. Victor, I'm not. You're not what? Capable? Strong enough? He loaded the magazine with sharp, precise movements. You broke into a locked wing. You picked your door lock twice. You snuck out to meet my brother in the middle of the night. Don't tell me you're not capable. Elena stared at the gun. This is insane. This is survival. Victor held it out. You want to stay alive? You want your father to stay safe? Then stop pretending you're helpless and learn to fight back. She took the gun. It was heavier than she expected. Cold. I don't want to kill anyone. Then you'll die. Victor moved behind her, adjusted her grip. His hands were steady, clinical. Stance wider, shoulders back. The gun's going to kick. You need to be ready for it. Elena tried to focus on his instructions, but all she could think about was the weight of the weapon in her hands. The finality of it. I can't do this. Yes, you can. His voice was close to her ear. Aim for center mass. Squeeze the trigger. Don't pull. Breathe out as you fire. Victor, do it. Her hands shook. I said do it. Elena closed her eyes, squeezed the trigger. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. The recoil slammed through her arms. She stumbled back into Victor, who steadied her with hands on her shoulders. Again. I can't. Again. She fired, missed the target by a mile. Again. 6 shots, 6 misses. When the magazine was empty, Elena set the gun down with shaking hands. I'm not cut out for this. You will be. Victor reloaded. We're doing this every day until you can hit the target, until it's muscle memory. Why do you care? The question burst out of her. If I'm just bait, just a contract, why does it matter if I can defend myself? Victor was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was quieter. Because you're my responsibility. And I don't let my responsibilities die. That's not an answer. It's the only one you're getting. He handed her the gun again. Now shoot. They stayed in that basement for 2 hours. By the end, Elena's arms ached and her ears rang and she'd hit the target exactly once. Victor called it progress. She called it exhausting. When they finally went back upstairs, Elena's hands still smelled like gunpowder. Mrs. Hale took one look at her and wordlessly brought tea. Elena sat in the library, cradling the cup, trying to process what had just happened. Victor Kane had just taught her how to kill someone. And the most terrifying part? She was starting to understand why. The surveillance van disappeared that night. Elena watched from her window as it pulled away around midnight, red taillights fading into the dark. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt like a mouse that had just lost track of the cat. The next morning, Marcus knocked on her door at 6 a.m. Training, was all he said. Elena pulled on clothes and followed him down to the basement. Victor was already there, dressed in workout gear, wrapping his hands. You're learning hand to hand, he announced. I thought I was learning to shoot. You're learning both. Shooting's for distance. This is for when they get close. He stepped onto a mat in the corner. Come here. Elena joined him reluctantly. Hit me. What? You heard me. Hit me. I'm not going to. Victor moved faster than she could track. 1 second he was standing there, the next her arm was twisted behind her back and her face was pressed against the mat. That's how fast it happens, he said above her. Someone gets close, you have maybe 2 seconds to react. If you freeze, You lose. He released her. Now get up and try again. Elena got up, threw a clumsy punch. Victor blocked it, swept her legs, put her on the mat again. Sloppy, your weight's all wrong. She tried again. Same result. And again. By the 10th time, Elena was furious. The 11th time, she faked left, went right, and actually connected with his ribs. Victor grunted, stepped back, smiled. Better. They trained for an hour. By the end, Elena was covered in bruises and sweat and absolutely seething. You're an asshole, she panted. I'm effective. Victor tossed her a water bottle. Same time tomorrow. I hate you. I know, but there was something different in his voice, something that almost sounded like respect. The training became routine. Shooting in the mornings, hand-to-hand in the afternoons. Victor was relentless, pushing her past exhaustion, past frustration, until her body moved on instinct instead of thought. And slowly, impossibly, Elena got better. She started hitting the target more than she missed, started anticipating Victor's moves, started feeling less like prey and more like something with teeth. 3 weeks in, she finally managed to pin him during a sparring session. It lasted maybe 5 seconds before he reversed it, but still. She'd done it. Not bad, Victor said from above her. Thanks, Elena gasped. They stayed like that for a moment, breathing hard, faces inches apart. Elena saw something shift in his eyes, something that looked almost like... He pulled back abruptly, stood, extended a hand. We're done for today. She took it, let him pull her up. Victor, I have a meeting. Marcus will walk you back. He was gone before she could say anything else. Elena stood on the mat, confused and somehow disappointed, though she couldn't say why. Marcus appeared in the doorway. Come on, Mrs. Kane. She followed, still trying to understand what had just happened. That night, Elena couldn't sleep. Again, she paced her room, restless, until finally she gave up and picked the lock. The house was dark, silent. She found herself walking toward Victor's office without deciding to. The door was closed, but not locked. Inside, Victor sat at his desk, staring at a laptop screen. He didn't look up when she entered. Can't sleep? No. Join the club. He closed the laptop. What do you want, Elena? I don't know. She moved into the room. Maybe I just wanted to see if you're human. Disappointed? Undecided. Victor's mouth twitched, almost a smile. Sit. She sat. They were quiet for a while. Not uncomfortable, exactly. Just still. Why did you really marry me? Elena asked finally. And don't say the contract. I want the real reason. Victor leaned back, considered. You want honesty? I want something that feels true. All right. He met her eyes. I was tired of the suspicion, the constant maneuvering, the assumption that because I wasn't married, I was weak, or gay, or secretly dying. Pick your rumor. He shrugged. A wife ended those questions, made me look stable, legitimate. So I'm window dressing. You were. He paused. Past tense. Elena's heart did something strange. What does that mean? It means... Victor stopped. Started again. It means somewhere between you breaking into my house and learning to shoot, you stopped being just a contract. He looked away. I don't know what you are now, but it's not that. Victor... A phone buzzed. Victor pulled it out, read the message. His expression went flat. What is it? Nothing. Go back to your room. Don't do that. Don't shut me out now. He stood. Elena, this isn't your world. These aren't your problems. They are if people are watching this house because of me. They're watching because they think you matter. His voice rose. And if you keep pushing, you'll prove them right, and then they'll use you to tear me apart. The words hung between them like broken glass. Do I? Elena asked quietly. Matter. Victor looked at her with something raw in his eyes. That's the problem, he said. You're starting to. Before Elena could respond, the window exploded. Glass shattered inward. Something metal bounced across the floor, spewing smoke. Victor grabbed her, dragged her toward the door. Gas, he choked out. Don't breathe. The world went sideways. Elena's legs stopped working. The floor rose up to meet her. Through the smoke, she saw shapes moving, men in masks. Victor was fighting them. She heard the crack of bone, someone scream, but there were too many. Something pricked her neck. The last thing Elena saw before darkness took her was Victor on his knees, blood streaming from his temple, reaching for her with an expression she'd never seen on his face before. Terror. She woke to the smell of mildew and the sound of water dripping somewhere in the dark. Her head felt like it had been split open and badly reassembled. She tried to move. Couldn't. Her wrists were zip-tied to a chair. Panic clawed up her throat. Easy, a voice from the shadows. You're safe. For now. A light flickered on, bare bulb, concrete walls, no windows. Ethan Kane stepped into view. Hello again, Elena. She tried to speak. Her mouth was too dry. It came out as a croak. Ethan crouched in front of her. I know, the sedative's a bitch. Give it a minute. You did this? I did. He pulled out a knife. Elena flinched, but he just cut into view. Hello again, Elena. She tried to speak. Her mouth was too dry. It came out as a croak. Ethan crouched in front of her. I know, the sedative's a bitch. Give it a minute. You did this? I did. He pulled out a knife. Elena flinched, but he just cut the zip ties. Relax, I'm not going to hurt you. Where's Victor? Still at the mansion, I assume. Probably tearing the city apart looking for you. Ethan sat back, which is exactly what I need him to do. Elena rubbed her wrists. They were raw and bleeding. This was your plan? Kidnap me? Kidnap's such an ugly word. I prefer strategic relocation. He smiled. But yes, Victor needs to understand what it feels like to lose something, to be powerless. I'm not something he can lose. We're not... She stopped. Were they? It's just a contract. Is it? Ethan tilted his head. Then why did he look like I'd shot him when we took you? Why has he already killed 3 of my men trying to find you? Elena's blood went cold. He what? Killed them, brutally. My sources say he's not even asking questions anymore, just tearing through anyone who might know where you are. Ethan's expression was unreadable. That's not a man protecting a business asset. That's a man who's lost control. You're lying. Am I? He pulled out his phone, showed her a photo. It was grainy, dark, but Elena could make out Victor, covered in blood that clearly wasn't his, holding someone by the throat. The timestamp said 2 hours ago. He's going to find you, Elena whispered. I'm counting on it. Ethan stood. When he does, we're going to have a conversation, a real one, about the business, about our father, about everything he took from me. And if he doesn't give you what you want, Ethan's smile was ice. Then I'll find out if he cares about you enough to trade his empire for your life. He walked to the door. Wait. Someone will bring you food, water. I'm not a monster, Elena. He paused. Unlike my brother. The door slammed shut. The lock engaged. Elena was alone in the dark. She tried to think, tried to plan, but all she could see was Victor's face in that photo. The rage, the violence, the desperation. Ethan was wrong about one thing. Victor wasn't going to negotiate. He was going to burn the world down to find her. And Elena wasn't sure if that terrified her or gave her hope. Hours crawled by. Maybe days. Elena couldn't tell. No windows, no clock, just the bare bulb and the drip of water and her own thoughts eating her alive. Someone brought food eventually. A woman. Young. She didn't speak, just set down a tray and left. Elena forced herself to eat, to drink. She needed her strength. The training Victor had put her through played in her head on loop. Every technique, every lesson. She studied the room, concrete walls, heavy door, air vent in the ceiling, too small to fit through. But maybe. She dragged the chair over, stood on it. The vent cover was screwed in, but the screws were old, rusty. Elena used the edge of the metal tray to work them loose. It took hours. Her fingers bled. The screws barely budged. But finally, the first one came free. Then the second. The cover fell with a clatter. Beyond was ductwork, dark, narrow. But it was a way out. Elena pulled herself up. The metal was cold and sharp. She crawled forward on her elbows, inch by painful inch. The duct branched. She went left, then right. Then Voices. Don't care what Kane wants. The girl stays here until he agrees. Ethan. Elena froze. And if he doesn't agree? Another voice. Rough. Unfamiliar. Then we use her differently. There are plenty of people who'd pay for information about Victor Kane's weakness. You mean kill her? Silence. If it comes to that, Elena's breath stopped. You said you weren't going to hurt her, the other man said. I said I wasn't a monster. I never said I was a saint. Ethan's voice was cold. Victor took everything from me. My inheritance, my father, my place in this family. If I have to burn his world to ashes to make him feel that, so be it. The voices faded. Elena lay in the duct, shaking. Ethan had never planned to let her go. This was never about negotiation. It was about revenge. And she was the knife he was going to use to gut his brother. Elena kept crawling. The duct seemed endless. Her arms screamed. Her knees were raw. But finally, she saw light. A vent opening into what looked like a hallway. She kicked the grate. It held, kicked again. It fell with a crash. Elena dropped through, landed hard, rolled. Footsteps pounded toward her. She ran. The building was a warehouse. Old, abandoned. She sprinted past empty rooms, rusty machinery, piles of debris. Behind her, men shouted. A door ahead. Daylight beyond it. Elena hit it at full speed. It burst open. She was outside. Industrial district, empty streets. She ran. Gunshots cracked the air. Pavement exploded near her feet. She didn't stop. An alley. She ducked into it, kept running. Her lungs burned. Her legs were failing. More shots. Something grazed her shoulder. Pain exploded through her. She stumbled, fell. The men were closing in. Elena scrambled to her feet, kept going. And then, tires screeched. A black SUV swerved into the alley, blocking her path. The door flew open. Marcus, get in! Elena didn't hesitate. She dove into the vehicle. Marcus floored it. Gunfire shattered the back window. He swerved hard, tires screaming. Stay down! Elena pressed herself to the floor, hands over her head. They burst out of the alley. Marcus took a corner so hard the SUV went up on two wheels. More gunfire. He returned it one-handed, barely looking, while driving like a maniac. Then they were clear, racing down the highway, the industrial district falling behind. Elena sat up slowly, shaking so hard her teeth chattered. You're bleeding, Marcus said. I'm fine. You're not. But we'll deal with it when we get back. He glanced at her in the rearview mirror. You did good, escaping like that. How did you find me? We didn't. You found us. He tapped something on the dash. You've had a tracker in your shoe since the day you arrived. Boss's orders. Elena looked down at her sneakers. Of course she did. Where is he? She asked. Victor. Hunting. Marcus's expression was grim. You don't want to know what he's been doing the last 36 hours. 36 hours? That's how long you were gone. It felt like longer. Like years. The mansion appeared through the trees. Every light was on. Cars everywhere. Armed men patrolling the grounds like it was a military base. Marcus pulled up to the front door. It opened before they stopped moving. Victor stood there. He looked like death. Blood on his clothes, bruises on his face, eyes hollow and wild. Elena climbed out of the car. They stared at each other. Then Victor crossed the distance in 3 strides and pulled her into his arms so hard it hurt. He didn't say anything, just held her like she might disappear. Elena's hands fisted in his shirt. I'm okay, she whispered. No, you're not. His voice was wrecked. You're bleeding. You're in shock. I'm here. He pulled back just enough to look at her. Really look. His hand came up, touched her face like he was making sure she was real. Ethan? Still out there. Victor's expression went cold. Not for long. Victor, don't. He took you. Each word was a bullet. He threatened you. He was going to kill you if I didn't give him what he wanted. I know. I heard him. Then you know why I'm going to end him. Elena grabbed his face, forced him to focus on her. Don't. Don't become what he thinks you are. I already am what he thinks I am. Victor's eyes were ice and fire. I've killed for less. I'll kill for you without hesitation. That's not who I want you to be. Then you want someone who doesn't exist. He pulled away, called to Marcus. Get her inside, call Dr. Rains, I want her checked for everything. Where are you going? Elena demanded. To finish this. Victor? He was already gone. Elena stood in the doorway, watching him disappear into a waiting car, and felt something inside her crack. She'd spent weeks hating him, resenting him, fighting against everything he represented. But watching him walk away, toward violence, toward his brother, toward a confrontation that could only end in blood, she realized something terrible. Somewhere between the contract and the cage, between the threats and the training, she'd stopped seeing Victor Kane as her captor. She'd started seeing him as something else entirely. And now he was going to get himself killed because of her. The doctor came and went, cleaned Elena's shoulder where the bullet had grazed her, gave her something for the pain that she refused to take. She needed to stay sharp. Mrs. Hale hovered, bringing tea Elena didn't drink and food she couldn't stomach. Finally, the older woman gave up and left her alone in the bedroom that felt more like a cell than ever. Elena paced. The window showed nothing but darkness and the shapes of guards moving through the gardens. No sign of Victor. No word from Marcus. Just silence. She checked the clock. 2 hours since he'd left. 3, 4. At midnight, Elena made a decision. She picked the lock on her door, muscle memory now, and slipped into the hallway. The house was too quiet, like it was holding its breath. She found Marcus in the security room, surrounded by monitors showing empty streets and dark buildings. Where is he? Marcus didn't turn around. You should be resting. Where is Victor? Somewhere you can't follow. Elena moved to stand in front of the monitors. He's going after Ethan. Yes? Alone? No, he took 6 men, best we have. Marcus's jaw was tight. But Ethan's got numbers, home advantage, and nothing to lose. So it's a trap. Probably. And you just let him go? Marcus finally looked at her. Mrs. Kane, when the boss makes up his mind, nobody stops him. Not me, not you, not anyone. I can try. You'll get yourself killed. Maybe. Elena's hands shook, but her voice stayed steady. But I can't just sit here waiting to find out if he's coming back. Why do you care? Marcus's eyes narrowed. A month ago, you hated him, called him a monster. Now you're ready to run into a war zone for him? Elena opened her mouth, closed it. Why did she care? Because Victor had saved her father, because he'd kept his word, because underneath the ice and the threats and the violence, she'd glimpsed something human. Because when he'd held her in the driveway, she'd felt safer than she had in years. Because she was terrified of what it meant if he didn't come back. Just tell me where he went, she said quietly. Marcus studied her for a long moment. Then he pulled up a map on one of the screens. Old shipping yard, east side of the harbor. Ethan's been using it as a base for weeks. He zoomed in. Victor's going in through the north entrance, but there's a service road on the south side, less guarded. Marcus? If you're going to do something stupid, at least do it smart. He pulled out a gun, the same one she'd been training with, handed it to her. You remember what he taught you? Elena checked the chamber. Her hands were steadier now. Yeah. Then don't make me regret this. Marcus turned back to the monitors. And Mrs. Kane? If you get him killed, I'll kill you myself. Fair enough. She took the gun and ran. The garage held a dozen cars. Elena picked the smallest, fastest one. The keys were in a lockbox Marcus had conveniently left open. She drove like Victor had taught her during one of their strange, silent dinners when he'd mentioned that everyone in his world should know how to handle a car in a chase. At the time, she'd thought he was paranoid. Now she was grateful. The city blurred past, empty streets at this hour, just her and the occasional truck. Elena kept the gun on the passenger seat, checked the rear-view mirror obsessively, and tried not to think about what she was driving toward. The harbor appeared, industrial and dark. She killed the lights, parked a block away from the shipping yard, got out. The air smelled like salt and rust and something burning. In the distance, she heard voices, shouts, gunfire. Elena's heart hammered. She moved toward the sound, keeping to the shadows, the gun heavy in her hand. The shipping yard was a maze of containers and cranes. She slipped between them, following the noise. More gunfire. Closer now. She rounded a corner and froze. Bodies, 3 of them. Victor's men, from the looks of their gear, dead. Elena's stomach turned, but she kept moving. Ahead, light spilled from an open warehouse door. She crept closer, pressed herself against the wall. Peered inside. The warehouse was huge, empty except for a circle of light in the center where Victor knelt, hands behind his head, surrounded by armed men. Blood ran down his face. His shirt was torn, but his eyes were cold and alert. Ethan stood in front of him, gun in hand. "You know what the problem with you is, Victor?" Ethan's voice echoed. "You think you're untouchable. You think the rules don't apply to you." "The rules don't apply to me." Victor's voice was steady, calm. "They never have." "Yeah, what about now?" Ethan pressed the gun to Victor's forehead. "Still feel untouchable?" "Pull the trigger, see what happens." Ethan's hand shook. "You think I won't? After everything you took from me?" "I think you're scared." Victor smiled, cold and sharp. "Because if you kill me, you get nothing. No business, no revenge, just a body and a war you can't win." "I can win this." "Against who? Marcus? My other lieutenants? They'll tear you apart, Ethan. You're not built for this world. I was born into this world. And you ran from it." Victor's voice dropped. "When Dad started losing it, you ran. When things got hard, you ran. You've been running your whole life." Ethan hit him. The gun connected with Victor's jaw with a sickening crack. Victor spat blood, looked up, still smiling. "That all you got?" Elena's finger tightened on the trigger. She could take the shot, drop Ethan, end this. But there were too many men, too many guns. Victor would die in the crossfire. She needed a different play. Movement behind her. Elena spun, gun raised. Marcus emerged from the shadows, 3 men behind him. "Told you she'd come," he muttered. Then to Elena, "We got a plan?" "Working on it. Work faster." Inside the warehouse, Ethan was pacing now, agitated. "You know what Dad told me before you killed him? He said you were poison, that you'd destroy everything he built. Dad was paranoid and violent. He was going to get us all killed. So you killed him instead?" "Yes." No hesitation, no regret. "And I'd do it again." Ethan's face twisted. "You're a monster. I'm a survivor. There's a difference." "Not to me." Ethan raised the gun again. "Any last words?" Victor's eyes scanned the warehouse, looking for exits, for advantages. They landed on the shadows where Elena hid. He couldn't possibly see her. Too dark. Too far. But something in his expression changed, just for a second. Fear, not for himself. For her. "Yeah," Victor said. "I got last words." Ethan waited. Elena Cross didn't deserve any of this. Victor's voice was quiet, raw. "She was innocent, and I dragged her into this world, used her, threatened her, turned her into a target." He met Ethan's eyes. "So if you're going to punish me for my sins, fine. But let her go. She's got nothing to do with our family's shit." Ethan laughed, sharp and bitter. "You actually care about her. That's beautiful. It's also pathetic. Let her go and I'll give you what you want. The business, the territory, all of it." Elena's breath stopped. "You're lying," Ethan said. "I'm not." Victor's voice was steady, final. "Take it. Take everything. Just promise me she stays safe, her and her father." Ethan stared at him. "You'd give up your empire for some girl you married a month ago?" "Yes." Silence fell over the warehouse. Elena's hands shook. He was serious. He was actually going to sacrifice everything. For her. Marcus touched her shoulder. "Now or never, Mrs. Kane." Elena made a choice. She stepped into the light. Every gun in the warehouse swung toward her. "Don't shoot!" Ethan's voice cracked across the space. "Don't anybody fucking shoot!" Elena walked forward, gun at her side, but finger on the trigger. "Elena, get out of here." Victor's voice was strained. "Now." "No. This isn't your fight." "It became my fight the moment you decided I was worth dying for." She stopped at the edge of the circle of light. "Lower your guns." Ethan's men looked at their boss. "You heard her," Ethan said, almost amused. "Lower them." The guns dropped, slightly. Elena looked at Ethan. "You want revenge? Want to hurt him? Then hurt him. But I'm not going anywhere." Elena, shut up, Victor. She didn't take her eyes off Ethan. You said I was bait, that I mattered to him. Prove it. Ethan's smile was slow, dangerous. What are you offering? A trade. Me for him. Let Victor go. I'll stay. Be your leverage, your insurance, whatever you need. No. Victor tried to stand. Two guns pressed against his head. He froze. Elena, don't do this. Why not? It's just a contract, right? Just business. She met his eyes. Isn't that what you told me? Victor's expression cracked. Please. You don't get to make this decision. Elena turned back to Ethan. Do we have a deal? Ethan considered. What makes you think I'll honor it? I could just keep you both. You could, but then you'd have Marcus and 30 armed men storming this place in about 3 minutes. Elena tilted her head toward the shadows where Marcus waited. And I don't think your odds are great in that fight. She's bluffing. Try me. Ethan's jaw tightened. He looked at Victor, then Elena, then back. Fine, deal. He gestured to his men. Let him up. They hauled Victor to his feet. He swayed, barely staying upright. Walk away, Ethan said. But if I see you again, if you come after me or my operation, she dies, understand? Victor didn't move. His eyes were locked on Elena. Go, she said softly. I can't. Yes, you can. She tried to smile. It felt wrong on her face. You taught me how to survive, remember? I'll be fine. Elena, please, Victor, just go. He looked like she'd shot him, but he turned, started walking toward the door. Each step looked like it cost him everything. He was almost there when he stopped, turned back. Ethan, Victor said quietly, you want to know why Dad really died? Ethan's gun raised. Don't. It wasn't just the business. It wasn't just the paranoia. Victor's voice was steady, calm. It was you. What? He was going to kill you. That night. He had the gun loaded. Had your name on a list. Victor's eyes were cold. I killed him to save you. Because despite everything, you're still my brother. The warehouse went silent. Ethan's face was white. You're lying. Check his old office, top drawer. The list is still there. Victor smiled, sad and broken. I saved your life, and you've spent 6 years trying to destroy mine. No, let Elena go, Victor said, or I will burn this place down with all of us in it. His hand moved to his pocket. Ethan's men tensed. Boss, he's got something. Victor pulled out a detonator. Dead man's switch, he said calmly. I let go. This whole building goes up. You, me, Elena, everyone. You're insane, Ethan breathed. I'm desperate. There's a difference. Victor's thumb hovered over the button. I'll give you 10 seconds to decide. Let her walk out of here or we all die together. Victor, don't. Elena's voice shook. Please. 10. There's no explosives, Ethan said. You're bluffing. 9. Boss! One of Ethan's men shifted nervously. 8. Victor, stop! Elena started toward him. Marcus's voice crackled from the shadows. He's not bluffing. We rigged the building an hour ago. 7. Ethan's gun wavered. You wouldn't. 6. Not with her here. 5. Victor's eyes were dead. Try me. Let her go! One of Ethan's men shouted. Boss, let her go! 4. Ethan, please! Elena's voice cracked. 3. Ethan's hand dropped. Fine. Fine, she can go. I said she can go. Victor, Elena screamed. He looked at her, really looked, and something in his expression softened. Run. Elena ran. Marcus grabbed her as she cleared the door. They were moving, sprinting across the shipping yard when the first explosion hit. The shockwave threw them forward. Elena hit the ground hard, ears ringing. She rolled over. The warehouse was an inferno, flames reaching toward the sky. Secondary explosions ripping through the structure. No. The word came out broken. No! She tried to go back. Marcus held her. He's gone, Mrs. Kane. I'm sorry. He's gone. Let me go! She fought him. He's still in there, Victor! The warehouse collapsed in on itself with a roar like the end of the world. Elena screamed. Marcus dragged her to the car. She fought the whole way, crying, screaming Victor's name. They were a mile away before she stopped struggling, just sat there, numb. The man who'd bought her, threatened her, trained her. The man who'd just died to save her. Gone. The drive back to the mansion was silent, except for Elena's ragged breathing. Marcus kept glancing at her in the rearview mirror like he expected her to fall apart. She didn't. She couldn't. Falling apart required feeling something, and she'd gone cold inside. Empty. They pulled up to the mansion. Every light still blazing. Guards everywhere. Mrs. Hale was waiting at the door. "Is it done?" she asked Marcus. "Yeah, it's done." The older woman's face crumpled. Just for a second. Then the mask was back. She turned to Elena. "Come inside, child." "I'm not a child." "No, I suppose you're not anymore." Mrs. Hale's voice was soft. "But you need to come inside. Doctor's orders. You're in shock." Elena let herself be led to her room. Let the doctor examine her again. Let Mrs. Hale wrap her in blankets and bring tea she didn't drink. She sat by the window and watched the sun come up. The phone call came at 7 a.m. Marcus burst into her room without knocking. "We got a problem." Elena didn't turn from the window. "What now?" "Ethan's alive." That got her attention. "What?" "Fire department found bodies in the warehouse. None of them were Ethan." Marcus's face was grim. "He got out." "And Victor?" Marcus hesitated. "Tell me." "We haven't found him either." Hope flared in Elena's chest. Painful, sharp. "So he could be alive." "Mrs. Kane, he could be." "The building collapsed. Nobody could have survived that." "You don't know that." Marcus looked at her with something like pity. "I've seen men die in worse. Trust me. The boss is gone." "I don't trust you." Elena stood, legs unsteady. "I want to see the warehouse. What's left of it." "That's not a good idea." "I don't care." Her voice was steel. "Take me there, or I'll drive myself." Marcus sighed. "You're as stubborn as he was." "Good." They went. The warehouse was still smoldering. Fire trucks surrounded it. Police everywhere. Marcus showed his credentials. Some kind of federal badge Elena had never seen. They let him through. Elena followed. The destruction was total. Nothing left but twisted metal and ash. "See?" Marcus said quietly. "Nobody walked out of this." Elena moved through the rubble, looking, searching, for what, she didn't know. A body? A sign. Proof. She found it near what used to be the north wall. Victor's watch, the expensive one he never took off. The metal was scorched. The glass cracked. But underneath the band there was blood. Fresh blood. "Marcus." He came over, looked. "That's his watch." "I know." She held it up. "But there's no body, and this blood is fresh. If he died in the explosion, it would have burned, dried." Marcus's eyes narrowed. "You think he made it out?" "I think something happened, and until we find a body, I'm not accepting that he's dead." "Mrs. Kane, even if he survived the blast, the injuries would need medical attention." Elena's mind was racing. Where would he go? If he was hurt and couldn't come back here? "I don't know. His properties are all monitored. We'd see him." "What about places we don't monitor? Places you wouldn't think to look?" Marcus was quiet for a long moment. "There's one place," he said finally. "But it's a long shot." "Tell me." When the boss was younger, before he took over the business, he had a place outside the city. A cabin. Went there when things got bad. Marcus rubbed his jaw. "He made me promise never to tell anyone about it. Said if something happened to him, it should stay hidden. Take me there. If I'm wrong, then I'll accept that he's gone." Elena met his eyes. "But I have to know." Marcus nodded slowly. "Get in the car." They drove for 2 hours. North into the mountains. The road got rougher. Trees pressed in on both sides. Finally, Marcus turned onto a barely visible dirt path. The cabin appeared through the trees. Small, weathered, almost invisible. There were no cars, no signs of life. Elena's heart sank. "Wait here," Marcus said. "No." "Mrs. Kane." She was already out of the car. The cabin door was unlocked. Elena pushed it open. Inside was dark, cold, empty. She moved through it anyway, checking rooms, looking for anything. The bedroom was in the back. The bed was unmade. And lying on it, unconscious and covered in blood, was Victor Kane. Elena's knees gave out. "Marcus!" Her voice cracked. "Marcus, he's here!" Footsteps pounded. Marcus appeared, took one look, and was already on his phone. "I need a medical team. Now. North Safe House. Yes, it's him. He's alive." Elena crawled to the bed. Victor's face was covered in burns and cuts. His breathing was shallow. But he was breathing. She took his hand. It was cold. "Hey," she whispered. "Hey, you bastard. Wake up." Nothing. "You don't get to die. You hear me? You don't get to blow yourself up and die on me." Her voice broke. "I didn't sign up for that." Victor's fingers twitched. His eyes opened, just barely. "Elena?" "Yeah, it's me. You're supposed to be safe." "I am safe." She squeezed his hand. "You made sure of it." "Ethan?" "Alive, but that's a problem for later." She touched his face, careful of the burns. "Right now you need to rest." "Can't. He'll come back. He won't get past me." Elena's voice was steel. "I've got the gun. I know how to use it, and I'm not going anywhere." And Victor almost smiled. Stubborn. "You taught me that too." His eyes drifted closed. Victor, still here. His grip on her hand tightened slightly. "Just tired." "Then sleep. I'll keep watch." "Elena?" "Yeah?" "Thank you." His voice was barely a whisper. "For not giving up on me." Her throat closed. "Don't thank me yet. You still owe me 11 months on that contract." He laughed. It turned into a cough that sounded painful. 11 months, he repeated. "Right." The medical team arrived 20 minutes later. They worked fast, efficient, stabilizing Victor and loading him into an ambulance. Elena rode with him, held his hand the whole way. At the hospital, they tried to separate them. She refused, threatened to shoot anyone who came near. Marcus vouched for her, said she was Mrs. Kane and had every right to stay. The doctors relented. Victor was in surgery for 6 hours. Burns, broken ribs, internal bleeding, concussion, but alive. When they finally let her see him, he was unconscious, hooked to machines, bandaged and broken, but alive. Elena pulled a chair beside the bed, sat down, and finally let herself cry. For the fear, for the relief, for the impossible, terrifying truth that she'd fallen for the man who'd bought her like property. She cried until there was nothing left. Then she dried her eyes, took Victor's hand, and made a promise. Whatever came next, Ethan, enemies, the whole damn criminal empire, she'd face it, because Victor Kane had been willing to die for her. The least she could do was fight to keep them both alive. Outside the hospital room, Marcus stood guard, phone to his ear. "Yeah, he's stable. Mrs. Kane's with him." A pause. "No, she's not leaving. Trust me. I tried." Another pause. Marcus smiled slightly. "Yeah, boss chose well. I'll give him that." He hung up. In the room, Elena watched the machines breathe for Victor and began planning how to end this war before it killed them both. Victor woke on the 3rd day. Elena was dozing in the chair beside his bed when she heard him move. Her eyes snapped open. He was staring at the ceiling, jaw tight with pain. "Hey!" Her voice came out rough. She hadn't left the room except to use the bathroom. "Welcome back." Victor's eyes shifted to her. "How long?" 3 days. You've been in and out mostly." She stood, moved closer. "The doctors say you're lucky. If Marcus and I had found you an hour later, you found me." It wasn't a question. "Not Marcus." "I found your watch. The blood was fresh. I figured it out." Elena touched his hand carefully, avoiding the IV. "You're a terrible escape artist, by the way. Bleeding all over your crime scenes." "I'll work on that." He tried to sit up, groaned. "Don't be stupid. You've got 3 broken ribs and 2nd-degree burns." "I've had worse." "That's not comforting." She pushed him back down gently. "Stay still." Victor looked at her for a long moment. "You should have left when Ethan gave you the chance." "Yeah, probably." So why didn't you? Elena hesitated. Because someone once told me that running makes you look weak, and I'm tired of being weak. You were never weak. I was terrified. That's not the same thing. Victor's thumb brushed against her wrist. Brave people are always terrified. They just don't let it stop them. Is that what you are? Brave? No, I'm just too stubborn to die. He closed his eyes. Where's Ethan? Gone. Marcus has people looking, but so far nothing. Elena pulled the chair closer. He'll come back, though. We both know that. Yeah, Victor's voice was heavy. He will. So what do? We end it, one way or another. He opened his eyes again. But first I need to get out of this bed. The doctor said at least a week. The doctors don't know what's coming. Elena's jaw tightened. Then tell me. Stop keeping me in the dark. Victor studied her. You really want in? All the way? I'm already in. Have been since I signed that contract. That contract was supposed to protect you. Well, it did a shit job. She leaned forward. I've been shot at, kidnapped, and watched you nearly die. I think I've earned the right to know what we're actually dealing with. Victor was quiet for a moment, then he nodded. All right, but not here. Too many ears. It took 2 more days before the doctors cleared Victor to leave. Elena could see the effort it cost him to walk without showing pain. His pride wouldn't let him use the wheelchair they offered. Marcus drove them back to the mansion. The place looked like a fortress now. Armed guards every 20 feet, new security cameras, motion sensors in the gardens. Subtle, Victor muttered. You were nearly blown up, Marcus said flatly. Subtle's off the table. Inside, Mrs. Hale had prepared Victor's bedroom like a hospital room. Medical equipment, supplies, everything he might need. He ignored all of it and went straight to his office. Elena followed. Victor moved to the wall behind his desk, pressed something. A panel slid open, revealing a safe. He worked the combination, pulled out a thick folder, dropped it on the desk. Everything I know about Ethan's operation, his contacts, his resources, his weaknesses. Elena opened the folder. Photos, documents, financial records. This is extensive. I've been tracking him for 6 years, since he disappeared after Dad died. Victor lowered himself into a chair with a barely concealed wince. He's been building his own network. Smaller than mine, scrappier, but effective. And now he wants yours. He wants revenge. The business is just the excuse. Victor pulled out a map marked with red circles. These are his known locations. Warehouses. Safe houses. Meeting spots. Most of them are abandoned now. He'll assume I know about them. So where would he go that you don't know about? That's the question. Victor rubbed his face. Ethan and I grew up together. I know how he thinks, but he's had 6 years to change, to evolve. Elena studied the map. Something nagged at her. What about the East Wing? Victor's head snapped up. What? The East Wing. In this house, that room with all the evidence about your father. She met his eyes. Ethan knew about it. He told me to ask you about it, which means he's been here before, recently. Victor's expression went cold. Show me. They went to the East Wing. The door was still damaged from when Elena had forced it open weeks ago. Inside, the room looked exactly the same. Photos pinned to boards. Red string connecting everything. Victor stood in the doorway, frozen. This was my father's room, he said quietly. After Mom left, he became obsessed. Thought everyone was plotting against him. Spent hours in here connecting dots that didn't exist. Ethan's been maintaining it. No, he's been adding to it. Victor moved to the board, pulled down a recent photo. It showed Victor and Elena at the charity gala, the night they'd first seen Ethan. Another photo showed Elena walking in the gardens with Marcus. Another showed her visiting her father at the care facility. He's been watching you, Victor said, since before I even brought you here. Elena's blood went cold. How is that possible? Because I'm an idiot. Victor slammed his fist on the table. I was so focused on external threats, I didn't think about the one person who knew all my blind spots. What does this mean? It means Ethan's been inside my security from the beginning. Probably has people in my organization, maybe even in this house. Victor pulled out his phone. Marcus, get up here. Now. Marcus arrived 2 minutes later. took one look at the room and swore. "We've got a leak," Victor said. "Maybe more than one. I want everyone in this house vetted, background checks, financials, everything. That'll take time. Then work fast." Victor turned back to the board. "And pull the security footage, every camera, every angle. If Ethan's been in here, I want to know when and how." Marcus left. Elena picked up one of the photos. Her face stared back at her, caught in a moment she didn't remember. Walking to a car, looking over her shoulder. "This is from the hospital," she said. "The day I visited my father." Victor took the photo. His jaw tightened. "He followed you." "Why show me this? Why not just use it?" "Because he wants me to know." Victor's voice was bitter. "Wants me to understand that he can get to you any time, that I can't protect you." "Can you?" Victor looked at her. "Honestly? I don't know anymore." The admission hung between them. "Then we leave," Elena said. "Both of us. Disappear. Start over somewhere he can't find us." "He'll find us. Men like Ethan don't stop." Victor set down the photo. "And running means abandoning everything. The business, the people who work for me. Your father." Elena's stomach dropped. "My father. He's safe. I have guards on him around the clock." Victor's expression softened. "That doesn't change if you leave. The protection stays in place. But if I run, my enemies will assume I'm weak. They'll move on my territory. People will die, and eventually they'll find us anyway." "So we're trapped." "No, we're cornered. There's a difference." Victor moved to the window. Cornered animals fight back. Over the next week, Victor turned the mansion into a war room. Maps covered every surface. Marcus and his team worked around the clock, vetting personnel, tracking Ethan's movements, fortifying defenses. Elena trained harder, shooting until her hands were steady, sparring with Marcus until she could hold her own. Learning codes and protocols and escape routes, Victor healed slowly, too slowly for his liking. She caught him pushing too hard, reopening wounds, ignoring doctor's orders. "You're going to kill yourself," she said one night, finding him in the gym at 2 a.m. "Then I'll die doing something useful." He didn't stop the punching bag routine. "Victor, stop." He kept going. Elena stepped in front of the bag. "I said stop." He stopped, breathing hard, sweat dripping. "You can't protect anyone if you're dead," she said quietly. "Not me. Not your people. No one." "I can't protect you anyway." His voice cracked. "That's the problem. No matter what I do, Ethan's out there, waiting, planning, and I can't stop him because I can't find him. So we make him come to us." Victor stared at her. "What?" "You said he wants revenge, wants to hurt you." Elena's mind raced. "Then give him a target he can't resist." "Absolutely not." "Victor, I know what you're thinking, and the answer is no." He moved away from the bag. "I'm not using you as bait." "You already are. He's been watching me for weeks, knows my routines, my vulnerabilities." Elena followed him. "The difference is, this time we control the situation. We know he's coming. And if something goes wrong, then you'll be there. Marcus will be there. We'll be ready." She grabbed his arm, made him look at her. "This is the only way to end it. You know that." Victor's jaw worked. "I can't lose you." The words hung in the air. Elena's breath caught. "What?" "I can't." He stopped, started again. "When Ethan took you, when I thought you were dead, it broke something in me." His hand came up, cupped her face. "You were supposed to be temporary, a solution to a problem, but somewhere along the way, you became real," Elena finished. "Yeah, real." His thumb brushed her cheek. "And I don't know what to do with that." "Neither do I." She leaned into his touch. "But I know I'm tired of being afraid, tired of waiting for the other shoe to drop. So we drop it ourselves." Victor pulled her closer, rested his forehead against hers. "If we do this," he said quietly, "there's no going back. Ethan will come with everything he has." "Good. Let him come." They planned for 3 days. The trap was simple. Elena would visit her father at the care facility, a routine Ethan knew about. But this time, Marcus and his team would be watching, waiting. When Ethan made his move, they'd be ready. The morning of, Elena dressed carefully. Jeans, a jacket, nothing that would restrict movement. The gun Victor had given her was tucked at the small of her back. Victor checked it personally. Safety's here. You remember? Center mass. Squeeze. Don't pull. I know. She met his eyes. I'll be fine. I'm coming with you. No, you're not. You're still recovering. I don't care. Victor, if Ethan sees you, the whole plan falls apart. He needs to think I'm vulnerable. Elena took his hands. Trust me. Trust your training. Victor's grip tightened. If anything happens, it won't. But if it does, then you'll do what you do best. You'll burn the world down to get me back. She smiled. But it won't come to that. He kissed her, hard, desperate. When they broke apart, his eyes were storm dark. Come back to me. Always. Marcus drove her to the facility. 2 cars followed at a distance. Victor's voice crackled through the earpiece Elena wore. I've got eyes on you. 3 blocks out. Copy that, Marcus said. They pulled into the parking lot. Elena got out. Everything looked normal, quiet. Too quiet. She walked into the building, signed in at the desk, took the elevator to the 2nd floor. Her father was in his room, reading as always. Elena. He stood, pulled her into a hug. I wasn't expecting you today. I know. I just wanted to see you. She squeezed him tight. How are you feeling? Better every day, thanks to that mysterious benefactor of yours. He pulled back, studied her. You look different. Different how? Stronger, more confident. He smiled. Whatever you're doing, it's good for you. If only he knew. They talked for 20 minutes. Elena kept one ear on the conversation, one on the comms in her ear. Movement in the parking lot. 2 vehicles, unknown. Elena, stay alert. Her father was mid-sentence when the fire alarm went off. People started filing out of rooms. Nurses directed patients toward the stairs. Come on, Dad. Elena helped him up. It's probably just a drill, he said. It wasn't. In her ear, Elena, we've got a problem. The fire department never sent a truck. This is Ethan. Copy. She kept her voice calm. Dad, we need to move. Now. They joined the crowd heading for the stairs. Elena scanned faces, looking for anything wrong. There. A man in orderly scrubs, but his shoes were wrong. Military boots. Another by the elevator, hand in his jacket. Marcus, they're inside. Multiple hostiles. Fall back to the west stairwell. We're coming to you. Elena steered her father away from the main group. Honey, what's going on? Just trust me, Dad. Please. They reached the west stairwell. Empty. Elena pushed through the door, gun already in her hand. Her father's eyes went wide. Elena, get behind me. They started down. 1 flight, 2. The door above them burst open. Footsteps. Multiple sets. Keep moving, Elena hissed. They hit the ground floor. Elena checked the hallway. Clear. She pulled her father toward the exit. Almost there. The door ahead exploded inward. Ethan stepped through, gun raised. Hello, Elena? She raised her weapon. Don't. Or what? You'll shoot me? He smiled. We both know you won't. Try me. Behind her, men poured into the hallway from the stairwell, cutting off escape. Her father pressed close to her back. Who are these people? Dad, stay quiet. Ethan's eyes shifted to him. Mr. Cross. It's a pleasure. Your daughter's been very helpful. Leave him out of this, Elena said. Can't do that? See, he's the reason you're here, the leverage that keeps you compliant. Ethan stepped closer. Victor's greatest weakness. He cares too much. And you don't care at all. I care about justice, about taking back what's mine. He gestured with the gun. Now, put yours down, unless you want your father caught in the crossfire. Elena's finger tightened on the trigger. In her ear, Victor's voice, urgent. Elena, we're 30 seconds out. Hold him off. 30 seconds might as well be 30 years. Why are you doing this? She asked. Victor saved your life. He killed your father to protect you. Ethan's expression flickered. He told you that? He showed me proof, the list. Your name on it. He's lying. I saw it myself. Then he planted it. But Ethan's voice wavered. Our father wouldn't. He was paranoid, violent, out of control. Elena took a careful step forward. You know that. You were there. I wasn't there. I left because... Ethan stopped. It doesn't matter. What matters is Victor took everything, and now I'm taking it back. By hurting innocent people? By becoming the monster you think he is? I'm not the monster here. No? Elena's voice rose. You kidnapped me. You're threatening my father. You're exactly what you claim to hate. The gun in Ethan's hand shook. Put it down, Elena said quietly. End this. Before more people die. I can't. Yes, you can. You don't understand. Glass shattered above them. Marcus and his team dropped through the skylight, guns blazing. Ethan's men scattered, returned fire. Elena grabbed her father, dragged him behind a reception desk. Chaos erupted. Gunfire, shouting, bodies hitting the floor. Elena rose, aimed, fired, dropped one of Ethan's men. Her training kicked in. Muscle memory. She moved without thinking, protecting her father, taking down threats. Through the chaos, she saw Ethan retreating toward the exit. Not this time. She ran. Elena, wait! Her father's voice. She didn't stop. Ethan was almost to the door when she tackled him. They went down hard. His gun skittered away. He rolled, tried to throw her off. She held on. They grappled, trading blows. He was stronger, bigger, but she was angrier. She got her arm around his throat, squeezed. Give up, she gasped. Never. He bucked, broke her hold. They scrambled for the gun. Ethan got there first, raised it. A shot rang out. Ethan jerked, dropped. Elena looked up. Victor stood in the doorway, gun smoking, barely able to stand but eyes clear. I told you, he said to his brother. You don't touch her. Ethan clutched his shoulder. Blood seeped between his fingers. You shot me. I should have done worse. Victor moved closer, each step careful. But Elena was right. Someone needs to end this cycle. So kill me. Prove you're the monster I always knew you were. No. Victor lowered his gun. You're going to live. You're going to face what you've done. And you're going to spend the rest of your life knowing I gave you mercy. Ethan laughed, bitter. Mercy, is that what you call it? I call it being better than our father. Victor looked at Marcus. Get him medical attention, then turn him over to the authorities. Boss, if we do that, I don't care. Victor's voice was final. I'm done with this, with all of it. Marcus hesitated, then nodded. They took Ethan away. The facility was chaos. Police arriving, EMTs treating the wounded. Elena found her father sitting on a gurney, looking shell-shocked. Dad, don't. He held up a hand. I don't want to know, not yet, just... Are you safe? Yes. Is it over? Yes. He nodded slowly. Okay, then the rest can wait. Elena hugged him, hard. I'm sorry, for lying, for putting you in danger. You saved my life, honey, both literally and today. He pulled back. Whatever else happened, remember that. Victor appeared beside her. Mr. Cross, I'm the mysterious benefactor. Her father's eyes were sharp. And something more, I'm guessing. Yes, sir. Are you good to my daughter? Victor glanced at Elena. I'm trying to be. Then we'll talk, later, when this is less insane. Her father stood. Right now, I think I need a nap. And possibly a drink. The EMTs led him away. Elena turned to Victor. He looked like he was about to collapse. Come on, let's get you home. I don't know if I have one anymore. Sure you do. She took his hand. It's wherever I am. The mansion was quiet when they returned. Word had spread about Ethan's arrest, about Victor's decision to turn him over instead of killing him. Some of Victor's people didn't like it, thought it made him look weak. He didn't care. I'm done living in my father's shadow, he told Marcus. Done perpetuating his violence. If that makes me weak, fine. But I'm not that man anymore. What are you then? Marcus asked. Victor looked at Elena. I'm trying to figure that out. Over the next weeks, things shifted. Ethan was charged with kidnapping, attempted murder, and a dozen other crimes. His organization crumbled without him. Victor restructured his business, cut ties with the worst elements, started focusing on legitimate enterprises. It was slow, painful. Some people left, but others stayed, respected the change. Elena started working with a local children's center, teaching kids self-defense, giving them the tools to protect themselves. It felt good, real. One evening, 2 months after everything, Victor found her in the library. "I have something for you." He handed her a folder. Elena opened it. Inside was their marriage contract, torn in half. "What is this?" "Your freedom." Victor's voice was quiet. "The year's not up yet, but I'm releasing you from the agreement. Your father's care continues, the protection continues, but you're not obligated to stay." Elena stared at the torn paper. "And if I want to stay?" "Then you stay because you choose to, not because of a contract." He met her eyes. "Not because I own you, but because you want to be here." She set down the folder. "You really think I'd leave?" "I don't know. I wouldn't blame you if you did." Elena moved closer. "After everything, after all of it, you still don't get it, do you?" "Get what?" "I stopped being here because of that contract weeks ago." She took his face in her hands. "I'm here because of you. Because somehow, impossibly, I fell for the man who bought me." "Elena, I love you, you stubborn, damaged, impossible man. And tearing up that paper doesn't change that." Victor's eyes were bright. "You shouldn't. I'm not good for you. That's not your decision to make." She kissed him, soft, sure. "It's mine, and I choose you. Even knowing what I am, what I've done, I know exactly what you are. And I love you anyway." She smiled. "Besides, someone needs to keep you from doing stupid things like blowing up buildings with yourself inside." He laughed. The sound was rusty but real. "I love you too," he said. "I have for weeks. I just didn't know how to say it." "You just did." They stood there, foreheads together, breathing each other in. "So what now?" Victor asked. "Now we figure it out. Together." Elena pulled back. "No more secrets, no more cages, just us." "Just us. And maybe," she added, "you take me on an actual date. One where nobody shoots at us. I can probably arrange that." "Good. Because I'm tired of our relationship milestones being marked by near-death experiences." "Fair point." 6 months later, Elena stood in the gardens, watching the sunset. The mansion felt different now. Less like a prison, more like a home. Her father had moved into the guest house, fully recovered and cautiously accepting of her relationship with Victor. The business was smaller but cleaner. Victor had cut ties with anyone involved in truly criminal enterprises. It cost him, but he didn't regret it. Ethan was in prison. They didn't talk about him. Marcus had stayed on, loyal as ever. Though Elena suspected it was partly because he and Mrs. Hale had started their own quiet romance. The world wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. Victor came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "You okay?" "Yeah, just thinking." "About?" "About how a year ago I was desperate and alone. And now," she turned in his arms, "now I have everything I never knew I wanted. A criminal for a husband. A man who saved my father. Who taught me to be strong. Who loves me despite every reason not to." She smiled. "Yeah, that works." "Ex-criminal," Victor corrected. "Mostly." "Mostly?" "I'm working on it." She laughed, kissed him. In the distance, thunder rumbled. "Storm's coming," Victor said. "Let it come." Elena tightened her arms around him. "We've survived worse." And they had. Together, they'd survived betrayal and violence and impossible choices. They'd survived each other. And somehow, in the wreckage of a contract meant to trap them both, they'd found something real, something worth fighting for. The rain started to fall.